Mike Glennon, NC State legend, joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Are you as eagerly anticipating this game as every single person in Wolfpack Nation is and have been for an entire week, the longest week in the history of mankind?
I am really excited for this game. Usually on Saturday night, if it's a night game, I've been in meetings for the day before of an NFL game. So I typically haven't been able to watch these games. So to be able to sit in my basement, have a couple adult beverages, and watch the Wolfpack go down to Death Valley, I'm excited.
All right, do we have an adult beverage plan? Do you have an adult beverage if things are
I
going
don't
well
know.
versus
I
an
don't know what I'm going to go with. It might be, it might be worth more than just a beer. It might be some sort of liquor drink.
some brown liquid? Mike Glennon is joining us. All right, help us game plan for this. I have no idea what the weather conditions are going to be. I'm not sure we're going to be dealing with a lot of rain. I think the field might be wet. But if you're NC State, what is the formula, given decent enough conditions that everything is at your disposal? What's the formula to win this game?
Yeah, on the offensive side, they're going to have to come out and see how Clemson's playing them. Last week against Wake Forest, they played a lot of man coverage and got toasted by Wake Forest, Sam Hartman, and these receivers. Last year against NC State, they played a lot of zone coverage, but NC State was able to stay on the field. This protects the corners, but NC State was able to win the time of possession battle. So whatever they do, they're going to have to counter them. So if they want to come out and play man, then these receivers are going to have to show up. Thayer Thomas is going to have a big game. Devin Carter's going to have a big game, and Devin Leary's going to have to be accurate. And these guys are going to have to make contested catches. Now, if they come out and play zone coverage to protect these corners, then the run game is going to have to get going. And then on the flip side, I think they gotta mix up the coverage. Don't let DJ get comfortable because he's playing well right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to mix up the coverage, make him think post snap, so he can't get a beat on what NC State is doing, and prove that he's able to go through his progressions and win the game.
And we're going to get to DJU in a second because I think we've seen in the last couple of weeks he looks like he has taken some major steps forward. Don't know about the competition against Louisiana Tech, but I don't think anybody doubts that Wake is a good football team, even though their defense has given up tons of points and yards over the last several years. I'm not sure anybody can do anything about good offense, though, in college football, and that goes for even the most elite teams. But let me go back to Devin Leary here. Leary wasn't great against ECU, and I think an honest assessment from Devin probably says, I haven't been at my best. What have been the unique challenges he's had to deal with over the first 4 weeks of the season, and where is he in that development timeline?
Look, when you come into the seasons with such high expectations and such high hype, preseason player of the year, I think sometimes you try to live up to it. And sometimes you try to look for the big play. You're trying to force the ball down the field rather than just letting the big play come to you. And when you turn on the tape last year against Clemson, he did a great job just taking what the defense gave him. He took the short throw and just, killed him by a slow death. They just kept getting after him. So I think he's got to get back to that. Is just let the big play come to you. You don't have to live up to the hype. How you played last year by just taking what the defense gave you, that's what got you to this point. So get back to that. And it's more than that. These receivers need to help them too. They got to win. They got to get separation. They got to make the contested catch. So I'm not worried about Devin. Devin has so much talent. He has an unbelievable arm. He's just got to get into the mentality of let me just take what the defense gives me. Don't get bored taking completions, and play the way he did last year against Clemson.
Yeah, look, I also, having sat with him now just twice in the last year and a half or so, I just think he's a really bright, grounded kid as well, and I think he understands the bigger picture. I think I think he's got good leadership skills. Let me ask you about Devin Carter and some of the guys that we hadn't really heard from over the first 3 weeks. Those guys all got in the box score and made catches against UConn. Was that opponent driven, or are these guys rounding into form, or we won't know until Saturday?
Yeah, it was definitely a positive sign to see them win against UConn. But to your point, if they're not winning against UConn, then we got big concerns. And so let's see what they do this week. Can they win against these Clemson DBs that really struggled last week against Wake Forest. So I think we're going to have to see Devin Carter have a big game, which he did last year. The guy had 2 touchdowns. He had a touchdown during the I think it was the third quarter, and then he had the overtime winner. So Emeka Emezi had 14 catches last year against Clemson. So they're going to need someone to fill that void, and I think it's going to have to come from Devin Carter, just because he's a more similar type of skill set to Emeka than a guy like Thayer Thomas is.
Will Thayer Thomas throw a touchdown pass in this game?
I mean, if Clemson's not prepared for it, they tried running. Thayer threw one against Clemson last year. He threw two weeks ago against Texas Tech. If they're not prepared for it, then shame on them.
I mean, you just have to assume that Thayer Thomas is a quarterback at this point. All right, before we get to DJU, defensively, NC State is different than most of the teams in not only in the ACC but in the country. Can their defense win this game, knowing that Clemson is going to try to establish Will Shipley on the ground and then take advantage of a ground game to make big plays down the field? But is State's defense good enough to beat Clemson with just enough help from the offense?
Yeah, I think NC State's scheme and personnel match up really well for Clemson. You talk about the run game and taking away Will Shipley. Well, right now, NC State's 10th in the country in run defense. And you got those 3 linebackers in the middle with Isaiah Moore, Peyton Wilson, Drake Thomas. I mean, it's going to be hard for them to run the ball. And then on the back end, I think I saw a stat yesterday that NC State's only given up something like 1 deep ball all year, which is what Clemson's been great at.
Yep.
DJ has done a great job getting the ball to the outside to Bo Collins and Robert Ngata and Antonio Coleman, I believe is his last name. So what Clemson does well, NC State has done a good job so far taking that away. So I personally think this Tony Gibson 3-3-5 defense, the coverages he plays, and the personnel to go with it, it sets up well for NC State's defense to go against this Clemson offense.
Yeah, look, I love everything about watching the Wolfpack play defense, and it's cool to see, especially Peyton Wilson. I know he got dinged up. I think it was in the first game, but man, it's amazing to see him play. We forget how big of a prospect he was a few years ago, and he has suffered the injury bug. Do you feel good? Do you feel good about Saturday night? The moment? Do you think?
I feel good about it. I think they can go down there and knock them off. I think having that confidence, until you do something, you don't know if you can really do it. Like, I think we can beat them, but I don't know. I mean, this is Clemson we're playing. Like, can we actually beat them? Well, last year, these guys proved we can beat them. Now it's time to go do it down in Death Valley and end this 36-game win streak.
All right, sir. I appreciate it. Don't overdo the brown liquid if that's where you go.
What about you? Are you going?
Am I going? No. I have a hockey game.
No, your season.
Yeah, but I still have to work. I still have to go work the game. But at least it's a 1 o'clock. It's a 1 o'clock hockey game, so I don't have to actually bother myself with it until I'll be done with hockey by like 5. So I got plenty of time to catch the game.
Capital Broadcast isn't giving you a private jet or a helicopter down there? I mean,
I should have asked. I should have asked for that. They would have given it to me. They would have put me on the Sky 5 and choppered me down. Yeah. I'm sure. I should have asked. My fault for not thinking like that. Mike Glennon, you are the best. I appreciate your time, man.
All right. See you, Adam. Thank you.